So here we have a service, right, that is allowing me to retrieve data from this hard-coded list of questions. And right now we only have 5 questions for quiz. So we want to be able to expose this, as an endpoint, right, so that folks can retrieve, just like we are doing here and retrieving the quizzes or a specific quiz or a set of quizzes. We like to be able to retrieve also the questions for a quiz. All right, so how do we do that? So we can expose that by creating a controller. Let's create a controller here, right, in JavaScript, and we'll call it the question controller on the server side. And then on this side, what we're going to do is that we're going to implement here endpoints such as being able to do things such as get, right? Now following RESTful APIs, right? When we have relationships between parent and child, in this case the parent would be the quiz, so this would be the quizzes, and you would say, well, which quiz, right? And then the question, the QID, the question ID, would then be used as a parent for the questions that you are of interest. So questions, right? So this is following again the RESTful APIs, and what we would implement here would be a callback that might take the request and response. They're coming from the client, right? And the implementation might be that we would use the API for the service, right? But first we would need to know the question ID. So const question ID, which is the request.params for that particular QID, and then we can use it to retrieve the questions from the library we built, right? So we can say here const, this would be the question service. We're going to require go up, down to the services, down to the question service. Now we can use the question service to retrieve the questions, const questions from the question service, find question for quiz, and we can pass in the, oh wait, this is the quiz ID, there we go, and we pass it, quiz ID. Once we have the questions, we can just return it from the response, JSON, the questions. There we go. All right, so now that we have that, we have to make sure that we have this app, and that app can be passed in through an exports. Here's the app, right, that is going to be used for, we can put this up here, for declaring this app and that endpoint. Okay. All right. Excellent. So let's take a look at this. We need to tie this to declare this in the server so we can pass that app. Let's go to the server and tie that up. Here, notice that we did that for the controller. We need to do the same thing for the questions. So let's do that. We're going to do const question controller. And actually, you know what? This variable control is not being used anywhere, right? So there's no point in declaring the variable because this is not going to be used anywhere else. So there's no point in declaring. So what we could do here is just do the require, right? Go get the controller. In this case, it would be the question controller. There it is. And since we don't have a variable, we can actually, since this already returns a function, right? So over here at the end, we have a function right here. So we can just do app like that. See that? We can just pass app. Okay? All right, so let's try it out. Let's restart the server. So here we would like to do quizzes 1, 2, 3, and then look at the questions for that quiz. So questions. There it is. So this is the question for 1, 2, 3. The questions for 2, 3, 4. There were 3 questions. And for 3, 4, 5, there were 2 questions, A and B. Excellent. So it worked fine.